What's happening, everybody? We made it back. This is episode number 3 of Getting Rich Off Mondo. And today, I want to discuss the New York Knicks. Carmelo Anthony, Phil Jackson, James Dolan, and overall the NBA itself. Now, I don't even know where to jump in at, but let's just start with the moves that were made at the beginning of the season, with Phil bringing in Jokim Noah and Derrick Rose. Okay, now when I first heard about this trade or sign or whatever, however they were acquired, I thought to myself, why would they bring Jokim Noah along? I mean, is this guy gonna do 10 and 10, or is he gonna do 10 points and 15 rebounds? I don't think so. I think, that Derrick Rose is one of those kind of guys, can sit there for 90 minutes and, give you Marshawn Lynch type answers. So basically, what I think he was there for was to be the person they go to, the go-to guy. We can't get a straight answer out of Derrick Rose. We'll just slide on down to Jokim Noah, because really nobody's down there talking to him except asking him, about his contract maybe. His contract is pretty nasty. It is pretty nasty, 4 years, $72 million. 31 years old. This is Phil Jackson now. He's team building with a 31-year-old center who just really, out of the process that Chicago had, then you got to see that he was exposed. He was exposed as being a 4-point, 3-rebound a game center. Anybody, they could get any 7-footer to stand down there and just take up space. But you sign him like it's a revelation, like we just got baby Shaq or something. And back to Mr. Rose. I probably could just go on and on about Derrick Rose and his sorry ass, but I'm not. I'm just gonna start at the New York Knicks part of it, okay? Because we could go days about Chicago. Okay, number one, this cat is not a point guard. He's not a point guard. I find myself, checking out the stats after every Knicks game because I want them to lose them all. While they're in this mode, I want them to lose them all the games. So you check his stat line, and it might be something like, 6 for 15. He might have 3 turnovers, but he's got 4 assists and played 30 minutes. He got 4 assists. 4 assists. 4 assists, that's all? That is all you could come up with. 4 assists. So, if Carmelo is this ball stopper that they claim he is, you got another ball stopper at point where the ball stops, where this guy's gonna get the ball. If you kick it back to Derrick Rose is looking for a way to score. Not saying that that's not what he should be doing, but if you're the head of the dragon, then you can see everything. He needs to pass the ball. It's a huge mess. While all this stuff is happening, don't you remember what Derrick Rose was saying when before the season started, that this team right here is elite team, and this team right here gonna make a run. Okay, now there's several ways to sell yourself, and there's several ways to make a fool out of yourself, and people are gonna talk regardless of what you say. So you don't have to say something that's overly idiotic like, we're really good and we're going to contend and compete and we're going to challenge. Those are some strong words. I wouldn't even be talking that kind of shit over NBA 2K17. I wouldn't even be talking shit about a video game, basketball. But this guy stands in front of him. You notice whenever he gives an interview, he really doesn't look into the mic. You know, he's stolen enough money from these organizations where it's kind of hard for him to look directly into the camera. I said the mic. I meant the camera. You can't look into the camera. This guy's not a point guard. You know, what was Phil Jackson thinking about? It almost kind of makes me wonder if Phil Jackson is a puppet president where Dolan could bring in Jackson and do whatever the hell he want. He could go get 3 guys off the fire department, suit them up, let them play. A lot of stuff going on, but none of it making sense. So you bring Derrick Rose and Jokim Noah. Now you're an elite team. So what about the team they just left? They had way better play. Well, I mean, they had better players than the Knicks do. So why weren't the Bulls an elite team? You know, who did they sign? Michael Carter Williams, Rondo. They signed Rondo. They must wanted Derrick Rose out of there bad, and it was because he was just a money vacuum. You know, he's just sitting over there, just money, just. But I said I wasn't gonna talk about that. Okay, let me get back on track here. Now, you got Rose running his mouth. He's an ineffective point guard. You got Jokim Noah really ain't saying nothing except answering, you know, what Derrick might have for lunch or what car Derrick drove to practice today. You know, they don't want to know shit about Jokim Noah because there's really nothing to know. 4 years, $72 million. You do the math on that. I mean, however they had the collective bargaining or however, you know, those things are written and made up, at this rate, the NBA won't exist in 20 years. Just on the outside looking in from a fan standpoint. That you can give a buster. You can give a scrub. You know what a scrub is? You give a buster. $72 million. He comes in. He does 4 points a game, 3 rebounds a game. Then he gets popped for banned substance. So wait a minute now. You take a banned substance. First you get injured. Then you have your rotator cuff surgery. Then you get popped for the banned substance. This is the same guy they gave $72 million to for 4 years. Okay. So we don't know what Phil Jackson is doing. We don't know if Phil Jackson is having dementia or if he's senile or if he's the smartest man on the planet or in between or neither. We don't know. All we know is he's got 11 rings. If I'm not mistaken, he's got a ring from when he played as a Knick. And I think that was the last time that they won. If I'm correct. Allegedly. I'll just say allegedly. He has 12 rings. You know, coached some of the best players. You know, when I think about Hornacek, a lame duck coach. This guy comes from Phoenix. You know, he was down there. He had the Morris brothers and couldn't control them. I think during the game, one of them threw a towel in his face on during a national televised game or something like that. So we couldn't even control these guys. He is a Phoenix alumni. I mean, former player. So I would imagine that he would have a lot of leeway and, more respect than he's really earned. But you can't handle two guys, I mean, I've known twins in my lifetime, and all twins to me seem to be weird. So I would imagine there's no difference between these guys except that they're just young, rich black millionaires. Probably hard-headed too. They go down to the gym. They have some words with a guy who their mother was dating. So not only is she saying, yo, yeah, my boys is in the NBA and they both, making millions of dollars. And I got them down at the gym whooping niggas' asses for talking shit and getting frosted with me on the motherfucking text message or on the FaceTime. Great decisions. Very great decisions. So they trade one of them, I think, to Milwaukee. I'm not for certain. And then the other one's like, oh, I don't want to be here. I don't want to play and all this stuff. You know what? If I were on that team, I'd have cut his ass. I said, oh, you don't want to play? Because your brother ain't here? Well, I'm going to give you all the opportunity you need to play with your brother because I'm going to cut you. Whatever the cost, it doesn't matter. You don't want to play here, your ass is not going to be here. So how this cat end up in New York? How you end up in New York? What's the connection between Phil Jackson and Jeff Hornacek? I mean, at that particular time, there were some interesting people that were out there that didn't have a job. You had Tom Thibodeau, who was out there. You had Dave Blatt, which I think he was the European version of Phil Jackson without the Shaqs and the Jordans and all this stuff. And then, since everybody just wants to hold this guy up, Luke Walton, I love his daddy. His daddy's the truth. His daddy's going to tell you about it, and he's going to look you in the damn face. And he's going to move on. But since, they consider Luke Walton to be the truth, But then, you have people out there like Jeff Van Gundy. You have Mark Jackson. Allegedly, Mark Jackson was out there on the streets of San Francisco with a Bible during the off season. That guy that owns the Golden State, he's kind of peculiar. So Mark Jackson allegedly can be out there with the Bible preaching, but then Draymond Green can allegedly Snapchat his dick to everybody or whatever on the public feed or whatever. Okay. Then you got Avery Johnson, Mike Fratello. A couple of these cats, they're pretty comfortable with their position behind the microphone. Less stress. Guaranteed work. I mean, I guess after you've been through that NBA grind, maybe these people aren't exactly jumping at the bait or the hook. Just kind of like that huge bass that's down there. That's down there in the grass. He sees your bait. He sees thousands of bait. It's like a fine ass woman, All day long, men are like, hey, baby. Hey, you looking good over there, girl. But this huge fucking 25-pound striped bass, he's not going to get caught today because he knows the game. And maybe they knew the game too. Maybe they say, we don't want that. And I would imagine that doing anything in New York has probably 5 times as much pressure as if you did it in Kansas or if you did it in Switchblade, Montana. I think that, some place where they don't sleep, and, this information age, this internet and all this stuff, and as soon as it happened, the tweets and the notifications and such is here and he's upset and we got it on film and TMZ is up everybody's ass. Everybody works for TMZ. If you got a fucking camera, you work for TMZ. So everybody works for TMZ. Because if anybody gets anything worthwhile, that's where they're going to send it, to TMZ. T.I. can have a TV show with him and Tiny, and they got 65 fucking kids in the house. But they wouldn't let Shorty Low have a show with the 7 baby mama and 11 kids. That's what kind of world we're in. Where one thing makes sense and another thing doesn't. So you got these Knicks, man. They're running wild out here. They're running wild. There was a lot of free agents out there too during this span. I'm talking about before this season, which is over. This was one of the very first shows that I thought about. So this has kind of been brewing inside of me for a while. And, like every time, as we were getting the equipment together and getting our stuff together, I was thinking to myself, golly, this damn New York thing, it just continues to grow like a ringworm, like an untreated ringworm. It's just getting bigger and shiny in a not good way. It's just getting worse and worse. Just to name a few of the top free agents that were out at that particular time. You had Kevin Durant, Mike Conley, Al Horford, Rajon Rondo, just for the sake of he's on the list. You had Al Jefferson, Andre Drummond. You had DeMar DeRozan, Paul Gasol, Bradley Beal, Dwight Howard, Dwayne Wade, Hassan Whiteside, Chandler Parsons, the Clarkson guy from Los Angeles. And then, if I'm not mistaken, LeBron was on his his yearly thing where I signed one contract a year to make it look better. So you had, a lot of those guys that I just named didn't go anywhere. And then, Durant went to Golden State after, damn near basically saying, oh, I'm going to go to Boston. But who did they come up with? Out of all of these coaches, out of all of these free agents, they come up with Jeff Hornacek and Derrick Rose and Jokim Noah. That's what the Knicks come up with. So meanwhile, while all of this is happening, you've got the cornerstone. You've got the brick, like the original brick that the Knickerbockers were built upon. And this brick has a name. This brick is a real person. The brick I speak of is Carmelo Anthony. Now, Carmelo Anthony has done a lot. He's getting, he's an older cat now. I mean, I didn't even know who Carmelo Anthony was until he got to New York, because he was in Denver and we didn't want, that was before anything or whatever. So somehow or another, Denver trades with New York. New York gives up half their roster for this guy, and he also ekes out a no trade clause, which I think only 3 other people had. Him, LeBron, and Dirk Nowitzki, I think, were the only people that had the no trade clause. Allegedly. Now, so this guy's sitting back, fresh off of Olympic this or a world basketball championship that, doing something. This guy's sitting back. He plays for the New York Knicks, the most valuable team in the NBA. He's in what I consider to be the capital of the United States, New York. A city so nice they named it twice. Now, this cat is sitting back thinking, we got Phil Jackson. Phil is going to figure this shit out. Oh, the only thing I got to do is just handle the press gracefully like I've been doing and being a graceful cat. I don't have any problem with Carmelo Anthony, one way or another. I don't have any beef with him. I'm not upset with him. I think that when you're rich and you're black and you're an athlete, people tend to want to know. They ask you stuff that's going to get you in fucking trouble. If you like to answer questions and stuff like that, if you're a talkative cat or whatever, eventually they're going to get you hemmed up with your own words. But this guy's sitting back thinking, man, we got one of the best people we could possibly have. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? Nothing could go wrong. We got Phil Jackson. Then he comes in and he names Hornacek the coach. Then after they have a little bit of issue and a little bit of a problem, then they want to make Rambis the head coach. Whatever the hell that is. That means that we can't fire you right now, Hornacek, because we already owe, who was the guy? We already owe Derrick Fisher, because we had to let him go, because he want to go, allegedly, go mess with somebody's wife during a layover and didn't get back to practice or whatever. Combination of things. But I think his record is better than Hornacek's record. If you wanted to go, on a timeline for something like that. So Carmelo was sitting at the house. He's got it made. I make ridiculous money. Let me grab my fact sheet. 2016, 2017, $24,559,380. And I think that is 3 years left on that contract, if I'm not mistaken. $24 million. He's married to one of the most desirable women out there, Lala. She's got her own thing going on. She's on television. She's a personality. She's helping make some bread for the family. So this guy's thinking to himself, what could go wrong? What really could go wrong? Then he does the interview. Then he does this interview about the time where they were having all of the police killings or police shooting people unarmed. He does this interview. Now, mind you me, I've never seen the interview, but I saw the pictures from the interview, and he had on like this, allegedly, he had on this green, like a dark green military sweater, and if I'm not mistaken, he had on a beret. He did that interview. Now, I don't know what he spoke on. I don't know if he spoke on, being pro-black or being whatever. But ever since that interview, it has been downhill for Carmelo. I think. My opinion. On the outside looking in. That's what it looked like to me. Like everything went to shit after that interview. Seriously. So you got Derrick Rose come in. He's talking a lot of mess. He's saying that they're a super team. A super team. You know what a super team is? Or an elite team or whatever. In the soft East. The East is so soft. The East is like the marshmallows for the bonfire. We get those from the East because they're so tender. Oh, these tender teams in the East. So, as Derrick Rose says all this stuff about what he's going to do and what the team is going to do, they actually came out. They were doing all right. But then what happened? The whole team falls apart. And then Derrick Rose goes missing. He goes missing. Then the whole thing turns on Carmelo Anthony. Now the whole thing is blowing up on Carmelo Anthony. You got Rose as a no-show. He disappears, goes to Chicago or whatever, comes up with some lame excuse about what happened or whatever. They kept it, they fined him and all this stuff. He should have been at least suspended for a couple of games, since he likes to sit on the end of the bench in street clothes. Hey, I would have gave him his opportunity. I'd have been like, hey, cat, here you go. You can go ahead and have a seat down here on the end of the bench for 5 games or something. 5 games, no pay. I mean, just something. I mean, these people have made so much money. That shit doesn't hurt them at all. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt them at all. But is Carmelo the reason why the triangle offense doesn't work? I mean, if Hornacek is the coach and he says we're going to run the triangle, and you run a triangle 2 times and then just go on and start doing whatever the hell else you want to do, then what the fuck's going on? What's really going on? You talking about a team that's valued at almost $3 billion, right? They're in the mecca of basketball stadiums or arenas, and you got a operation running like this. Why can't they get it together? So then all the way up until the trade deadline, Carmelo Anthony is a target at the pistol range. Carmelo Anthony is the guy getting his ass whooped on the side of the liquor store. Carmelo Anthony is the one getting pulled over for the no seatbelt and no signal in an open container. It's just raining shit on Carmelo Anthony. Then you got Phil Jackson backsliding with his little homie that's at the newspaper, talking to him, and then, he's got something slick to say. It's a mess. But then, they don't make it nowhere near the playoffs. And then didn't Rose get hurt too? He got hurt again? Wow. We're not going to even mention the whole rape thing and allegedly, and we're not going to even mention that. But I guess Chicago had enough. What's bigger than Chicago? New York. You say, in Chicago there might be a whole chicken dinner, but here's just a couple of biscuits. No sweat. Them people probably were genuinely concerned about this guy. he was missing or something, or maybe somebody run him over, he'd been abducted or something. No, he's on a plane headed to Chicago. He didn't love it when he was there, but he loves it now, to where I'm going to hop on a plane 2 hours before game time. Real smart. But then it's like, we're just going to jump down on Melo the rest of the year. Every time we lose, we're going to ask Melo. Every time somebody missed the last shot, we're going to put the camera in Melo's face. As soon as he come off the, hey, Melo, why y'all lose? Hey, Melo, why y'all lose? But ain't nobody asking Derrick Rose why you only got 3 motherfucking assists and you played 30 minutes. I mean, he had some awful games, statistically. And then, every blue moon he'd have a game, he only missed 2 shots. He was 11 for 13 and all this stuff. Ooh, great. Talk to me when this Joker get 12 assists. I mean, you couldn't be in the NBA if you couldn't shoot. You just think about the criteria that you would need to be on the bench, part of the 15 that travel. You think about what you had to be capable of. Now, these people are paid handsomely, but the Knicks are losing like crazy. How come they didn't bring in Patrick Ewing? Let him coach. I mean, how come they couldn't find somebody other than Jeff Hornacek? Really? What, does Hornacek live next door to Phil? Like, I got a job opening. Oh, yeah, for real? Man, just come on down there and we'll sign you up. Oh, is that how it works? Since in today's society, you got to know somebody to get a job. So, I guess Hornacek was at the right bar or whatever, running old Phil. Like, is that Phil sitting over there? Send Phil some liquor. Tell him it's from Jeff with no job. They said, tell Jeff to come on over here. Somebody pull up a chair and let Jeff sit down. Jeff, what's going on with you? Oh, no, nothing too much, man. Just unemployed. Oh, well, I can take care of that for you. I had a job. In the beginning, I thought he was there purposely trying to destroy or make sure that the Knicks didn't advance past the Lakers. Then you seen what happened with the Lakers with the old, the brothers try to oust the sister and all this kind of old white man thing, like, we can't go anywhere if we can't say we own the Lakers. So they were having problems with that, but they got that solved. And, they did go to Phil, and I think allegedly Phil told them, yeah, I'll coach, but I ain't traveling with the team on road games. Now, you think about that for a second. That sounds like a no to me. All right? That sounds like a no. That's just like somebody say, get your ass out there and cut the grass. Like, well, I'll get out there and cut the front yard, but I ain't doing the back. So where are they going with that? If he would have been the coach of the Lakers, I don't think the Lakers would have done any better. I don't think if Triumph the comic dog was coaching the Lakers, I don't think they would have done any better than what they're doing now. It really wouldn't matter. I don't even think they could even not have a coach. And it's everybody talks about playing in Miami. Oh, if you was playing in Miami, you couldn't concentrate. Well, could you imagine being in California playing for the Lakers? And then can you imagine later on here, the Raiders are going to be playing in Las Vegas. They're doing shit they said would never happen. But that's a whole nother show. I think that Dolan is really what's going on. Dolan has a lot of stuff going on. besides the Knicks. The Knicks might be his Xbox One. You know, that facility makes a lot of money without the Knicks, the MSG. And he's everywhere. I think he used to own a cable company and he sold it and stuff like that. You know, the man's got plenty of money. And I imagine rich people don't see stuff the same way we see it. You know, I'm looking at it from a fan perspective. You know, want to see the team win. We want to see them win. So what they going to do now? They going to run Carmelo out of town because he picked up his option. Phil's there for another whatever. I don't know how long the terms are. But he re-signed. Now there's all this chatter that Carmelo would be better off playing somewhere else. I don't understand. If they were pissed off with him for the pro-black militant, you know, my peoples and all this shit, then they should have got rid of his ass then. Right then. He should have went straight from that interview to his agent, because he's getting 911. Man, they want you gone. Come in here and tell me where you want to go. Just like on a video game. You know, you go in there, you tell them where you want to go. And that's where they send you. They should have got rid of him then. Right then. Instead of this, we'll use the Phil and Carmelo drama as a real reason to not talk about why an NBA team can't run the fucking triangle. They done ran it every fucking place else. But they can't run it. But they're designed to run it. They're coached to run it. They got a coach that's coaching it. And it's the focus of the offense. The triangle. But they're not using the triangle. They use it 3 or 4 times. Throw it out the window. Now let's not forget about the unicorn. Porzingis. I'm not going to say his first name. I got made up names for him. I'm just going to call him Porzingis. You know, maybe that's pretty close. This guy's something else. What is he? 7'1" with the straight back, not the hump in the back, not the, you know, my body's just, you know, overextended by being this tall. This guy stands straight up, and he's got some touch. He's got some touch. He's got some decent range. He's a good player. A damn good find. He'd be excellent on any team. But what I don't like about how they handle him is they treat him like he's a child. Okay, number one, he's a European player, right? He's from someplace overseas. So it's not like he just came from their version of, you know, Beverly Hills or the Hamptons. He came from another country where I'm sure it's a lot more stressful. Today, you know, just a lot more stuff going on, a lot less real world stuff. Country could be at war or whatever. You know, that's what I'm saying. There could be all kind of refugees, all kind of crazy stuff happening. That's not happening here. So he gets here, and he's probably more frustrated here than he was wherever he was at before he got here. Because he doesn't understand the bullshit. He's been playing someplace else. He's living the dream. And he's seeing that if you're living the dream, you're probably knee deep in shit. He doesn't understand that, yeah, some nights it's already in the book that we're gonna lose, that we're just gonna go out here and give it zero effort. And then they had Brandon Jennings on that team. Didn't they cut him or something? Why in the hell would you get rid of him? That doesn't make any sense. A lot of stuff that they did didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense. I'm sitting here looking at You had the guy Courtney Lee. I think he was a starter. You know, just seeing Jokim Noah, and I just see 72 million reasons why Phil Jackson shouldn't have a damn job. You know, if I got a race car and it's kicking ass at the track, then it don't no more, or I can't keep it straight, then it ain't a winner no more. Phil was winning when he got Porzingis, and then he was losing when he brought in Jokim Noah. You brought in Jokim Noah? I mean, you know, like, I grew up in the era with Jordan, Ewing and them watching the Knicks and the Bulls play. You know what I'm saying? Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, you know, Chuck Person, Reggie Miller. You know what I'm saying? The real NBA. Jody the Policeman, Isaiah Thomas, Michael Thompson. You know, the list goes on and on. Real people. The real NBA. This NBA is garbage. Soon as Silver took over, garbage. To me. I don't understand why Dolan would want to punish Carmelo unless he done something that we don't know about. But what could he have done? Really? But Porzingis can't buy the bullshit. They can't teach him how to buy it. They can't say, here, here's a suitcase full of money. Slide it across the table. Now you just purchased the bullshit that we're selling you. He don't understand. What the fuck? I think he'd be more effective at center than power forward. I think you have Carmelo at power forward. You have Porzingis at center. I ain't no coach. But I ain't afraid of no ghost neither. And ain't no ghost gonna walk through the damn door and save the damn Knicks. Future, past, present, it don't matter. They're going to be bad for a long time. But it doesn't matter. The bottom line, it doesn't matter. Dolan is rich. He's got other interests just besides that. You know, a lot of cats might own their NBA team, and that's all they own. So they all the way down into the popcorn. Oh, let's raise the price of the popcorn $1. Let's add 65 cents to the slushy, because they need every penny. But Dolan, he's got that long bread. And you'd have to run an NBA team. You know, you look at a simple business, like maybe a Church's Chicken or something like that, or a Little Caesars. The business is $400,000, but they want you to have at least $600,000 in the bank. Probably $1 million. They probably wouldn't see you if you came in there with the minimums. They know you ain't got no money. They say, shit, he won't be able to buy no napkins. If you don't want Carmelo there, get rid of him. Phil Jackson ain't gonna fix shit. He's you know, $12 million a year. He's got the best seats in the house. He's got Oakley behind him, about 5 or 6 rows, ready to throw him over the fucking balcony rail. You know, who the fuck wants it with Oak? Oak lucky they ain't. You better be glad they was inside, wasn't outside. Or they'd have been like, shit, I think they'd have probably shot his ass. But, yeah, because I think there were cops he was giving them 3 and 4 pieces too. But there ain't no fixing it. And I doubt, seriously, they're not going to get anything for Carmelo. I guess he's not going to play in a Knicks uniform again. So what are they going to get for him? They're going to trade him for a box of chicken, some Newports, and I guess a couple of lottery tickets. Shit. Throw in a couple of damn Xbox Live cards. They're going to give him away. He ain't going to win nowhere. I mean, where could he go where they'd win? Was he going to go to Golden State? Or he's going to go to the Spurs? Everybody thinks that. Oh, they got the Spurs going to win. Oh, they just picked up such a Spurs. They lock. You got a coach that's bigger than the team. He kind of out of control sometimes. But they do what they got to do. Phil Jackson should bring his ass up out of the office and coach. That would be fun. That's what he should do. The people should be screaming for that. No, we don't give a fuck about what Spike Lee wants. Because what he want don't matter. He trying to get Kaepernick a job. What they need to do is they need to go on and get rid of Carmelo. It's already, the writing's on the wall. I mean, Phil signed his thing. I mean, it's not like they're going to do a sign and trade with Phil. So, let me know what you think. Am I crazy? Or do I got something here? Or was Derrick Rose the golden boy and Carmelo was the scapegoat? Well, neither one of them be there next year, but it made for an interesting year. And Porzingis, he's frustrated. Hell, if I was him, I'd be trying to get out of there. I'd be trying to get out of there quick. I wouldn't be signing no kind of extension for nothing else with them. I'd be trying to get out of there. Maybe he go play for Golden State too. Shit, hell, everybody go play for Golden State. You know? You know Paul George ain't going to New York. Nobody's going to New York. Look how they did that Carmelo. Look how they do in general. That's what I think. Y'all let me know in the comments below. This is Getting Rich with Mondo.